Hello, my name is Dave. Welcome to my channel and welcome to my review of my very own lonerider MotoTent, which I've been using for the past 12 months. Right then, let's give this a go. First of all, apologies for the wind noise. There's not a lot I can do about that here. It's getting up pretty bad today. But let's have a look at the outer bag. So the bag itself is pretty strong. It's made from really good, strong material. And it's got some loops here at the front. There's plenty of places you can attach this to your bike if that's what you want to do. Obviously, as you've probably seen from my videos, I get this in my top box, would you believe? So the tent itself, it's 5.5 kilos, so it is a pretty heavy tent, but I think it's the lightest tent that you can get on the market and be able to put your motorbike in it. So there you go. So for the weight that you're carrying, you get a lot, trust me on that. So the bag itself has a reflective warning sign on the back, so if you put that on the back of your bike you can show that. And it's also got the reflective strips here, and once you've packed it all down and got it all nice and tight, it's also got these two straps to get it even tighter. But it's going to be really difficult doing this with one hand, isn't it? So let's just open them up. Okay, so on the top of the bag, it's got one of those sort of wrappy things. Oh man, this is so difficult with one hand. So there's a clip on the top, opens up, and then it just rolls out. So the more you pack this into the bag, the more you can roll this end piece down. Okay, and there you go. These two white reflective strips, I've got a great tip for you later on. So when we put this away, I've got a fantastic tip for you to make sure that this fits on your bike nice and tight, or even into your top box. So these white strips have a big part to play in that. I'll show you that when we put the tent back away. Okay, so let's get the tent out and let's have a look at what's inside. So there we have it. So we have our tent pegs, that little bag there with a drawstring for our tent pegs. We have a bag with our poles in. We have a bag with our ground sheet in for the outside porch part of the tent that you can put on if you want to. And we have the tent itself. Rock and roll. Let's get this thing up. So before we go ahead and put this bad boy up, I just wanted to give you my first tip of the day. So this is Dave's first top tip. So the way to put this tent up is to put it with the back of the tent facing into the wind, against the wind. And you do that so that the wind goes over the slope at the back, and then at the front where all the action happens, you know, and you're doing all your cooking and stuff, you've got a nice calm spot to do all that stuff. But I've found, and I've used this as I've said 5 or 6 times over the last year, I've found that there's nothing better, if you can find the right spot, that is, the positioning your tent in a spot where the back of the tent is facing out to the gorgeous views. So if you found a place that's got some lovely views and you find the right spot, if you put the back of your tent towards those views, what you'll find is that when you wake up early in the morning, there is nothing better than lying in your sleeping bag and opening the back door from inside your sleeping area. It's really simple to do that, onto the beautiful vista that's in front of you, making yourself a nice cup of tea and just lying there in your sleeping bag, drinking a nice cuppa and looking at the beautiful scenery that you've got going on there. So that's a top tip. So yes, if it's going to be windy, obviously put this up with the back of the tent into the wind. But if it's a nice sunny day and you know it's going to be nice for the weekend or the week you're away, then I would seriously consider putting the back of the tent towards the view, so you can do that in the mornings, okay, when it's all nice and quiet. All right, let's get on and let's put this up. It's quite simple. It takes about 10 minutes to put up, but obviously it's going to take me longer because I'll be showing you, but let's have a look how I do it. So clearly the first thing to do here is unroll your tent, so let's get that out, again one-handed. Okay, so once you've got the tent rolled out and it's nice and flat, what you're looking for is there are 3 places where you put the poles into the tent, the 2 red ones here, but you want to be looking for this black one. So this black line that runs all across the tent is the back of the tent. Okay, so that's your back of your tent. I've got this the wrong way around, so I'm going to turn it all the way around. I'm going to face the back towards the fence. Right, so once you've got your tent nice and flat, the next thing to do is, well, you can do it either way. You can get your poles out and put your poles in, or you can put the pegs down in the back here just to hold it down. So if it's windy, yeah, peg the back down. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the poles together and put them through the little guide channels in the tent. So there's a black one and 2 red ones. Pretty self-explanatory. You put the black in the black holes, you put the red in the red ones. Okay, so I'm going to get on with that. These are really simple to put together. They've got cord going through them, elastic cord, so they just literally snap themselves in, really. You can't go wrong at this step because the black one at the back is the smaller one. It will only fit through the black cover at the back here, and the 2 red ones are the same at the front, so you can't really go wrong. So let's just find the opening, which would be at the other end, wouldn't it? Oh. Just going to feed it through. Now what you don't want to do is obviously pull on this pole. You don't want to pull it out, because you'll pull it out inside the sleeve, if you know what I mean. So you only want to be pushing at this stage. And get it all the way home at the end. I've had to put the camera down, sorry, I can't give you a close-up on this bit. But there you go. One pole in, let's do the other 2. Right, so at the back of the tent here, so again you can identify it by the black line, the black pole that goes around the back. So what we want to do is peg the back down first. So we're going to peg down these straps here, just to hold the tent in place while we erect it. So these are great pegs, they're aluminium. They're really light, but they're also really, really strong. They've got the little tabs on the back of the peg, so you can pull them out the ground easier once they're in. One thing I will say is that, so another top tip here, the top of the peg, which is like that, it is smooth, but my son accidentally stepped on one of those barefoot. The first time we went camping, it went straight through the back of his foot, which was absolute nightmare when we was away. So just be aware that they are, even though they feel rounded, they do go in your foot quite easily. But yeah, these are great pegs, they're ridged, so they go in through rocks, sand, whatever you want to put them in. Okay, so I'm going to pop a peg in. I'm going to put one peg in here, so 45 degrees away, and just pop it in there. I'm not going to push it in all the way because I may want to jiggle the tent around a little bit to get it exactly where I want it. And I'm going to pop one in here. just to keep it all in place for now. Boom, that's all you need to do for now. So I found that once you're at this stage, it's a good idea to put the guide ropes up at the front. So another great feature about this tent is that here's your guide ropes. There's a little pocket here to keep the guide ropes in so they don't be flapping around all over the place when you're putting it away or getting the tent out. So get yourself a peg and pop one of the ropes in, and it will keep it all upright. Boom. If you've got your bike boots on, these are easy to push into the ground. I'm going to put one in at the other side. Great little idea that about the pockets. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just straighten the tent up, make sure it's where I want it, make sure I'm not over tight in places, and make sure it's all completely square. Looks pretty good actually. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the back guide ropes. I'm just going to plonk them in the ground, keep it all nice and tight, and then we'll go around and do our final checks. Okay, so we're nearly there. So the last part to do now is to just go around and put in any pegs where you think it needs it. I always put 4 pegs at the back, so you got your 2 on the pole arm there and 1 down there, but I always leave these 2 unpegged because I like to open this back door like I said, in the morning time. Boom. You can strap all of these down, but I want to show you these side doors opening, so I'm not going to strap these down either. But there are 2, so the last 2 are at the front of the tent, which are these 2. So let's get them strapped in. Make sure all the zips are up when you're doing this, by the way. You don't want any zips open when you're doing this, because then when you do the zips up you could actually rip one of these tabs out of the floor, off the tent, because of the amount of pressure you'll be putting on it. So always make sure that the zips are up or done up when you're doing this. And there we have it, guys and girls. So typically, like I said, that would take me 5-10 minutes. Obviously putting the back guard's a little bit more restrictive, but we got it up, job done. So let's show you all the goodness that is the lonerider MotoTent. So there is an easier way to do this. I mean, that was quite simple, but when you've got your 2 hands free, the easiest way to do this is to put the 4 back pegs in first, then just stretch out the whole front of the tent as far as it will go till it's nice and tight, and then you put these 2 guide ropes in at the front that just pull all the hoops up, and then go around and peg the tent and make sure it's all fine. That's the way I found is the easiest way to do it, but I have to do it like that because I've got the camera in my hand. This is so hard. I've got a wired mic as well. I've never done that before, so forgive me for that. But here we are, we're all done. And let's get the front opened up and I'll show you how we put the ground sheet down. Now this is quite tricky to do on your own because it's quite wide, so you have to sort of fold it and do the best you can. When there's 2 of you it's simple, but yeah, it's quite tricky on your own. There must be a way of doing this that I haven't figured out yet. Here we go, let's just bang it up for now so you can see what's going on inside. So there we are, that's the inside of the tent. So I've opened the front up, but you can also open the sides up, both sides, and you can actually drive your motorbike in here, and there is loads of room to get your bike in here and all your kit. So it's worth paying this extra money and carrying this extra weight just for this. You know, if you're in adverse conditions, it's absolutely brilliant for putting your bike in. I've done it once, but usually I just throw my gear in here. But you can see that the inner tent is fixed already to the outer tent, so you haven't got to do anything there. You've got your fly nets on the front and the back of the tent as well for all the exits, and you've got some handy pockets here. So you've got a handy pocket there, and then if you go into the tent, you've got these other pockets. I think there's 3, and then your tabs obviously to keep your doors open. You've got a left and a right door. Okay, so as you can see on the floor, we're just looking at grass at the moment. You can leave it like that, it's no bother. But if you want to put the ground sheet down, I'll show you how to do that. So this is the ground sheet. Bag's good. Drawstring on it. Okay, so even the ground sheet's got a little feature. One, it's shaped in the same shape as the inside of your tent here. But 2, if you're in trouble, you find yourself deserted up a mountain somewhere, you run out of petrol. On the back of this ground sheet, it's got an SOS reflective message. So look at that. And I've got it upside down. I'm looking at it upside down, aren't I? There you go. SOS. It's got the dots and the dashes, and you can also put a brick over whether you need help or not. Why you would turn it that way up in normal operational running, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. So I don't think you'd ever need to put a brick on, do you need help, yes or no? Because if you didn't need help, you'd just have it the other way around, wouldn't you? But anyway, for today's purposes, we're going to turn it over. And we're going to put it in here. So it's very intuitive. The dead square piece goes at the back, and there's a little bit at the front here that comes out tapered, that goes in at the front. And as you can see, there is a red hook at the front which hooks onto the red tab there, like that. And then the other hooks are black. Another red one here, look. So it's all colour coded. It should be quite easy. I haven't found any problems with this at all. So you just put your red hooks on, come in here and pop your black ones on. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And you do get another one here, so it tabs over there. But unfortunately, I took this out of the bag to give it a good wash when we got back from our last trip, and I left it to dry, and the rabbit nibbled it off, the little bugger. So I've got to get myself some bungee cord to put that back on. There you go. That's what we call her nibbles. She nibbles everything. Ground sheet done. So for the purposes of this video, what I'll do is I'll open the sides up as well, so you can have a look what it's like with the sides open, you know, where you can drive your bike in. But if you're not going to put your bike in there, another fantastic thing I found is that if you've got wind slamming the front of this anyway, despite where you've put it, if there's no wind over to the one side, you can just open the side door, do your cooking and stuff there, or the other side you can open up, shut the front and do your cooking there. So it's got 3 exits at the front here, and all of them are great. I've used all of them depending on the camping conditions of the wind, you know, the direction of the wind. But I'll open them up so you can see just how much room you've got. And you can see, so I'm 5'8.5", and when I'm in here, there's another half a foot above my head. I can stand up in here. And when you're camping, how horrible is it to have to keep bending down and crouching down? So again, save up those extra pennies and get yourself a tent where you can actually stand up and you know, do activities. Right, let's get the sides opened up. Right, all these zips come with the rain cover as well, so you get the covers over the zips, which is great. So there's one side done. Another good tip is when these doors are down, so when you're settling in, you know, for the night, ready to go to bed, the loops that hold the doors open, so these loops, they're great for hanging your lights off, but you also got one at the front here to hang your light off. I've got some great lights, so I'll show you them in another video. They're fantastic. Right, let's get the other one done. There we are. Brum brum brum. Drive your bike straight up, straight in. There is loads and loads of room in there. Super cool, eh? Worth the money, 100%. Okay, so let's have a look at the inside and I'll show you what's going on in there. So it's double zipped, so you have your fly screen zip and also the inner lining zip. So you got two doors, like I say. Just unzip that. There's your double zip. So what you can do is you can open the inner zip and tie that back inside and leave your outer nets closed if you want to keep the mozzies out, but you can still see through them a little bit. So if you want to get a bit of sun in there and a bit of heat, you can open this, tie it back, and you can zip that up and leave the front with the mozzie net on. But for now, let's open these up, hey? So I wanted to do this review at the end of the season because I wanted to check the tent over and make sure it's okay for next year, but also to give it a good clean out, because you can see there's a bit of debris in there from the year that I've been using this. So yeah, I thought I'd bring it home, get it out, do a review, and also give it a good old clear out. Ready for next season. Look at that. So this tent is a two-man tent, and trust me, it does comfortably house two people. Me and Max have been away in this a few times, and we've had bags of room in there for both of us and our kit. So it's quite a big old space. It doesn't look it from the outside, but it really is. And there's some great features in there that I'd like to show you. So I'm just going to get my boots off and I'll take you in. So inside then you'll see that it's got a fitted ground sheet, so you haven't got to worry about putting a ground sheet in. But there's also pockets galore. So you've got a pocket there, and these are really big pockets. You can put shoes in, whatever you want to put in there, and your electronics. There's one, two, so there's two of them inside, and there's one big one on the outside in the porch bit. But there's also in each corner, so when you go to sleep at night, depending on which way your head is, if you throw your phone and all, you know, your light or whatever you need to keep hold of, your remote control for your lights, all that kind of stuff, throw them in these little corner pockets. They'll never be too far away. But there's also another little hook in here. So what I do is I hook my light on there and the one out in the porch, and then I just keep my remote control in the side pocket. So as I said, there is nothing better than lying here in the morning and just stretching up and opening this, and if you keep your gas stuff and your saucepan or your jet boil or whatever you've got, if you keep them in this area or even inside with a bottle of water and your tea bags and stuff, you can get that on the go. And then you just, I can't do this with one hand, open that up, tie it back, and you can pretty much lie here in your sleeping bag, on your little airbed or whatever you've got in here, in pure comfort, and just scrabble around making a nice morning cuppa, and then just lie here drinking your cup of tea, looking at your gorgeous view instead of these brown fences. Okay, So that's the inside of the tent. This has also got a net on it as well, so you can it's got a double zip. You can keep the net up, or the whole lot, you know, you can close it all up. Perfecto mundo. And just over this side, so towards the front of the sleeping unit, there's another hook up here, so you can put your light up there as well. We can put a coat hanger and hang some stuff up to dry if you want. So yeah, you've got 2 hooks in here and probably 2 out in the porch. So this is a fantastic motor tent, it really is. And lonerider I found to be a very good company to deal with, and I have had to talk to them, which I'll go into now. So even though this tent is epic in every way, there is one improvement that I think could be made. And lonerider will already know this because I've been in contact with them. So the one problem that I've had on this tent is with this. So this loop here that pegs this corner in, if you have a look from the outside, you'll see that it's really, really tight. And yes, you can make it loose and push it in, but then the door gets a bit flappy in the wind, all that kind of stuff. And you want this to be nice and tight, don't you? So you'll see here there's some stress marks going all the way down to that singular peg, and there's nothing in between until you get to the pole at the other end. So what happened to me was a catastrophic failure. The first time me and Max went camping with this, so when it was brand new, we put this up, and when I zipped down the front, so we'd used it all day, and when I zipped the front down, there was so much tension on this little tab here that it ripped itself away from the tent, which was a real shame. And we contacted lonerider when we got back, and they immediately sent out a whole outer shell replacement. So, you know, thanks very much lonerider for your understanding and for doing that. But for future, so for your next board meeting, a little improvement would be, I would think, is to just take some of the tension off that front peg and put some of it down into the middle. So you could put another little tab down there, or even have that front one strongly elasticated. But yeah, that was an issue for us, but it got sorted, and we haven't had an issue since. We're aware of it, so we purposely don't put that peg in so it's pulling too tight on the front. Okay, so that's the tent done. So now, because I'm losing sunlight, let's show you how to put it all away. So the first thing to do, obviously, is to get your ground sheet away. So I'm going to put the ground sheet away. Step 2 then is to make sure all the zips are done up fully. So make sure all your zips are down and all done up. Let's get on with it. Right, so here is my great tip for you if you want to put this tent in your top box. If you're going to put this tent on the back of your bike, then I don't suppose it matters. But if you want to put it in a top box, so this is my standard Honda top box, and what you would do before you put this tent away, if you just put the bag in your top box, you'll see, well in mine anyway, you'll get a rough idea of how small you need this bag to go down. So as you can see with mine, I use these 2 white strips. So if I can keep the packed tent within that white strip and fold all this down out the way, then what I found is that it fits straight in my top box. Alright, so that's a great top tip. Put the bag on your top box or on the back of your bike, figure out just how big you want to get this tent down to, and then that will help you out when you're folding the tent up. You can actually measure it against the bag. Okay, so let's get this away in the bag. So the first thing I'm going to do is run round, and I'm going to take out all the pegs. So let's get that done first. They're quite easy. You've got these little pulley things on them, so you can just pop and pull them off. Okay, so that's all the pegs out. The next job is to, if you get your guy ropes, just roll them up and put them in their little bags. Right then, with the guy ropes away, next thing, get the poles out, and remember to push the poles out the hole. Don't pull them through the hole, because you're likely to pull the poles apart on the elastic inside the covers. So push, you know, feed it and push the poles out. Okay, so that's the poles away. Point to note is that in the pole bag there's actually sponge wrapped at the bottom, so when you put the poles in, they don't actually poke through the bottom there, and also at the top. These are great little bags, no doubt. Right, let's get this tent away. So remember me saying about the bag and the size of your top box if you get it on there? So you are going to need your bag for this. There's also, sorry, I forgot to mention, there's a repair kit with the tent, so you get some repair items in there in case you get a rip, which is unlikely, but it does happen, doesn't it? So you get some little repair bits there. So let's get this measured up, ready for putting away. So first of all, we want to straighten this out after we've just pulled all the poles out. Let's get this nice and straight on the floor. And then what I'm going to do right off the bat is I'm going to just fold this straight in half. So let's just reduce the size of it a little bit and fold it in on itself. Right, so I pretty much folded it in half. What I'm going to do now is get the bag, put the bag by it, and as you can see, way too wide at the moment. If I was to roll that up and try and stuff it in the bag, it'll just be too wide to go in my top box, so I'm going to fold it in half again. So it's nearly there. So as you can see, I'm nearly within the white strips there, so I'm just going to tuck the sides in a little bit, and then I'm going to do the old roly-poly, or I might even fold it over itself a few times and then roll it up and pop it in the bag. So all the time I'm doing this, so don't be afraid, because you want the air out of it, don't be afraid to just lean on it a little and push all the air out of it, and then roll it up tight as you can. Then grab your bag. This is actually the hardest bit, is getting it in the bag. There you go, it's all in, and it's packed between the lines. It should go in my top box like that, but obviously I've got to get the pegs in and the poles. So let's do that. Boom. We are there. So the last step then is to, what you do is you just roll this up all the way down. Actually, let's get some air out of it first. So if you just kneel on it a little bit, get some air out of it, and then just roll this tab down as far as you possibly can, and don't forget I'm aiming for these white lines. So let's just do that. I'll have to stand up to do this. Then once you're rolled, you pull the clips round and bang, and then just tighten your straps on the side, and that should go in my top box. So let's have a look. Let's turn it round. Okay, I could have done a bit better, but time is of the essence here. I'm losing sunlight and it's going to rain. I would say that, my friends, is in. That's pretty good, eh? So because of the shape of my top box, you'll notice there's obviously a big divot in there. If you need to get anything else on top of this or down there, so I put all my camping stuff down there as well, and a towel and some shoes on top. There's plenty of room in these Honda top boxes to do that. So that there is my Lone Rider MotoTent. I bought it at my own money. This is not a sponsored video. I bought it at my own money after doing loads of research, and I would give it 5 out of 5 stars. It's an absolutely fantastic tent, especially when you're two up camping like we are. Okay, you could do a lot worse. Go out and buy one if you've got the pennies, and I'll see you in the next review. Bye bye.